You stand in the shadows of your own life, watching others seize what should be yours. They smile to your face, but their whispers carve away your power like a blade in the dark. You feel it, the gnawing weakness, the hesitation that chains you. But what if I told you that weakness is an illusion, a trap set by those who fear your rise? Machiavelli knew this. He forged weapons not of steel, but of the mind-psychological blades that slice through resistance without a sound. And today, you will wield them. Imagine yourself not as the hunted, but as the wolf, silent and lethal, turning the tide with nothing but your will. Listen closely, because these aren't lessons from dusty books. They're the keys to dominance, drawn from the prince who whispered empires into existence. The first weapon, silence. You think talking proves your strength? That's the lie they've sold you. Words spill like blood from a fresh wound, revealing your plans, your fears, your very soul. Machiavelli understood. Silence is the ultimate shield. It forces others to fill the void, to project their insecurities onto you. You become the enigma, the shadow they can't grasp. Picture this. You're in a room full of rivals, their voices clashing like swords in battle. They argue, they boast, they expose their flanks. But you say nothing. Your eyes lock on theirs, unblinking, a predator sizing up prey. They squirm under that gaze, wondering what you know, what you're plotting. Silence isn't weakness, it's warfare. It builds tension like a storm gathering on the horizon. Napoleon used it masterfully. His pauses in council weren't indecision, they were traps, drawing out the fools who spoke too soon, only to be crushed by his calculated response. You must master this now. Next time someone challenges you, don't rush to defend. Let the silence stretch. Watch them unravel. Their words will betray them, while yours remain sheathed, ready to strike. Repeat after me in your mind. Silence is power. Silence is control. Silence turns you from victim to victor. But silence alone isn't enough. It pairs with the second weapon, deception. Machiavelli taught that truth is a luxury for the weak. The strong wear masks, crafting illusions that bend reality to their will. You don't lie outright, that's crude, like swinging a hammer in a duel of daggers. No, you deceive with subtlety. A whisper here, a feint there. Appear harmless when you're coiled to strike. Let them see the sheep, while the wolf lurks beneath. Think of Caesar crossing the Rubicon. He didn't announce his ambitions, he cloaked them in loyalty, in duty, until his enemies were blind to the blade at their throats. You do the same. In your world, your job, your relationships don't reveal your hand. Smile at the betrayer, nod at the schemer. Let them believe you're allies, while you maneuver in the dark. Deception isn't betrayal, it's survival. It's the art of making them dance to your tune without knowing the music. Practice it. When they ask your intentions, deflect with a question. Turn their curiosity into a mirror, reflecting their own doubts back at them. You become untouchable, a ghost in their midst. And as they chase shadows, you claim the throne. These weapons build on each other, like layers of armor forged in fire. Silence shields you, deception disarms them. Now, the third, strategic absence. You think presence commands respect? Wrong. Overexposure dulls your edge, makes you predictable, ordinary. Machiavelli knew vanish at the peak, and your value soars. Become the ghost that haunts their thoughts, the void they crave to fill. Wolves don't linger in the pack. They prowl the edges, appearing when it suits them. You do likewise. Step back from the fray. Let your absence echo like thunder in silence. They wonder, where are you? What are you doing? Fear creeps in. Respect follows. Napoleon exiled himself to Elba, only to return like a storm, his legend amplified by the void he left. Apply it ruthlessly. In negotiations, walk away when they're hooked. In alliances, disappear when they need you most. Your return becomes a conquest, not a concession. Absence isn't retreat, it's ambush. It sharpens your blade, makes every appearance a strike. You feel it building, don't you? That primal surge, the instinct to dominate. These are your weapons now. Silence, deception, absence. Wield them, and watch empires crumble at your feet. But hold that power close, because the fourth weapon sharpens the blade further. Timing. You rush in like a novice soldier, swinging wildly, and you invite defeat. Machiavelli whispered that true mastery lies in the pause, the calculated strike when the iron glows hottest. Timing isn't chance, it's the predator's patience, waiting for the prey to expose its throat. Feel the rhythm of the battlefield around you. Your enemies move in patterns surrogate in victory, desperate in loss. You don't attack at their peak. You strike when they're off balance, when doubt creeps into their ranks like fog over a dawn raid. Napoleon didn't conquer Europe by haste. He waited for winters to weaken armies, for alliances to fracture. You mirror that. In your life, observe the cycles, the colleagues' overconfidence after a win, the rivals' fatigue after a long fight. That's your moment. Unleash your silence, your deception, your absence all timed like an assassin's dagger. Imagine a negotiation where they push hard, voices rising like a storm. You don't counter immediately. Let the pressure build. Let them commit to their bluster. Then, at the precipice, you deliver the killing blow, a single precise word or action that shatters their facade. Timing turns ordinary, moves into legends. It's the difference between a forgotten skirmish and an empire's fall. Repeat this mantra in the quiet of your mind. Wait, watch, wound. Timing amplifies your power, makes every action echo through eternity. Without it, your weapons dull. With it, they become unstoppable. And now, the fifth weapon seals your dominance: perception. You think reality rules the world? Foolish. Machiavelli knew power flows from what others believe, not what is. Craft their vision of you as unassailable, a force of nature they dare not challenge. You become the myth, the shadow that looms larger than life. Wolves don't howl to boast. They do it to instill fear, to make the herd scatter. You do the same. Spread whispers of your strength through actions, not declarations. Let a single victory ripple outward, exaggerated in retelling. Appear everywhere, yet nowhere. Your influence felt like an invisible hand guiding fates. Caesar didn't just win battles, he paraded triumphs, turning conquests into spectacles that bent Rome to his will. In your realm, do likewise. A subtle display of control, a calm stare that silences a room, a favor granted that binds loyalty, shapes how they see you. Perception isn't manipulation, it's architecture, building empires in minds. You wield it by controlling the narrative. When rumors swirl, don't deny, redirect. Turn accusations into badges of cunning. Make them question their own eyes, their own judgments. You rise not by force, but by the gravity you create, pulling others into your orbit. These five weapons: silence, deception, absence, timing, perception forge you into something primal, unstoppable. But wielding them demands discipline, a cold fire in your veins. Start small. In your next encounter, deploy one. Feel the shift, the way power tilts toward you like a scale unbalanced. Remember, the world doesn't yield to the loud or the brave. It bows to the strategist, the one who moves in shadows, striking with precision. You are that now. Embrace it, and let the weak tremble. Yet, this is only the beginning of your ascent. Deeper layers await, tactics to embed these weapons into your soul, turning instinct into empire. Dive deeper now, into the forge where these weapons are tempered. You've grasped the five: silence, deception, absence, timing, perception, but mastery demands more than knowledge. It requires blood, the kind that stains your hands from practice. You must embed them into your instincts, like a wolf sharpening claws on bone. Start with silence, that primal veil. It's not just withholding words, it's a calculated void that sucks in their confessions. You've seen it in history's shadows. Machiavelli advising princes to listen more than speak, turning courts into echo chambers of others' folly. Apply it to your battles. In a heated argument, when anger boils like lava, don't erupt. Clamp down. Let your face become stone, a mask carved from ancient marble. They expect your outburst, your weakness spilling out. Deny them. Watch as their rage turns inward, devouring them while you stand untouched. This is psychological alchemy, transmuting their energy into your fuel. Napoleon in exile didn't rant against his captors. He brooded in silence, plotting returns that shook continents. You do the same. Silence isn't passive. It's the predator's crouch before the leap. Now layer deception atop it, like poison on a blade. Deception thrives in the gaps silence creates. You plant seeds of doubt, half-truths that bloom into their nightmares. Machiavelli called it the art of the fox, cunning over brute force. Don't lie boldly. That's for amateurs who get caught in webs of their own spinning. Instead, mislead with truths twisted just enough. Tell them what they want to hear, laced with barbs they won't feel until later. Envision a rival at work, scheming for your position. You know their game. Smile, offer false praise. Your ideas are bold, like Caesar's marches. They swell with pride, blind to the comparison's edge. Caesar's boldness led to daggers in the back. Deception binds them to you, makes them complicit in their own downfall. Wolves don't charge head-on. They circle, feigning retreat to draw the herd into ambush. Your life is that hunt. Use deception to turn allies into shields, enemies into stepping stones. But remember absence, the ghost in your arsenal. It's the withdrawal that amplifies your presence, like thunder after lightning's flash. Overstay, and you become wallpaper faded, ignored. Vanish strategically, and you haunt their dreams. Machiavelli urged princes to be scarce, letting scarcity breed desire. In your world, apply it coldly. After a victory, don't linger to gloat. Slip away, let rumors of your next move swirl like smoke. Picture Napoleon on Elbe absent from France, yet his shadow loomed larger than armies. The people yearned for the emperor they thought lost. You create that yearning. In relationships, pull back when they're hooked deepest. Let absence whisper questions. Where are you? Do you still care? Their pursuit becomes your power. Absence isn't abandonment. It's the string on a puppet, pulling them closer with every yank. These weapons interlock, each sharpening the next. Timing governs them all, the heartbeat of your strategy. Rush, and you shatter like glass against steel. Wait too long, and opportunity slips like sand. Machiavelli knew. Strike when the iron is red hot, when foes are divided or distracted. Observe the rhythm cycles of strength and vulnerability, like tides pulling ships to wreck. In practice, time your silence during their monologues, letting it land like a guillotine. Time your deception when trust peaks, embedding it deep. Time absence after impact, vanishing before they recover. Napoleon timed his campaigns to winter's end, catching enemies frostbitten and weary. You time your moves to life's fractures, after their mistake, before their rally. Timing turns chaos into chess, where every piece falls as you command. Perception crowns it, the empire built in minds. You don't just act, you sculpt how they see your actions. Make silence seem wisdom, not fear. Deception, cleverness, not treachery. Absence, mystery, not cowardice. Machiavelli taught that men judge by appearances, feed them the illusion you desire. Craft your legend through subtle strokes. A single act of mercy amid ruthlessness paints you as just yet formidable. Wolves bear teeth, not always to bite, but to warn. Let others spread tales of your prowess. Deny nothing, confirm less. Caesar's writings weren't history. They were propaganda, turning defeats into strategic retreats. In your arena, control the story. A whispered achievement here, a veiled threat there. Perception makes you godlike, untouchable, inevitable. Feel the momentum building in your chest, that feral pulse urging dominance. These weapons aren't tools, they're extensions of your will. Practice them daily, in small skirmishes, until they become breath. The weak chatter and charge blindly. You wait in shadows, striking with precision that echoes through ages. But to truly wield them, you must confront the inner enemy, your own doubts. Strip them away, layer by layer, forging a core of steel. Strip away the illusions you've clung to, the lies that keep you small. Doubt is the chain forged by lesser men, designed to bind the wolves among sheep. You must shatter it, starting with self-mastery. These weapons demand a mind like polished steel, unyielding, razor-sharp. Begin by observing yourself as you would an enemy. Note your impulses, the urge to speak when silence serves, the temptation to reveal when deception shields. Crush them. Train in solitude, rehearsing scenarios like a general mapping battlefields. Envision your day as a war zone. A colleague probes for weakness, deploy silence. Let their words hang like nooses they tie themselves. Feel the power in restraint, the way it coils tension in your favor. Deception follows. Feed them a morsel of misinformation. Watch it spread like venom through veins. Absence, next excuse yourself abruptly, leaving them adrift in uncertainty. Time it perfectly, striking when their guard slips. And perception? Curate your image relentlessly. Dress the part of the enigma. Move with deliberate grace. Let every gesture whisper dominance. Machiavelli didn't preach from ivory towers. He lived these truths in Florence's treacherous courts, where a wrong word meant exile or death. You live them now in your arena's boardrooms that echo with betrayals, social circles rife with hidden daggers. Take Napoleon as your shadow mentor. Exiled, he didn't despair. He plotted in isolation, using absence to fuel his myth, timing his return to shatter empires. His perception? He became the Corsican ogre to foes, the liberator to follower Saul crafted illusions. Apply this to primal instincts. Dominance isn't roared, it's assumed in quiet certainty. Fearlessness blooms from preparation, not bravado. Control stems from understanding the human beast predictable in its greed, its fear. You become the puppeteer, pulling strings unseen. Start with one weapon daily. Today, silence in conversation. Tomorrow, deception in negotiation. Build the habit until it pulses in your blood. But beware the pitfalls, the traps that snare the unwary. Overuse silence, and you seem aloof, inviting isolation. Deception unchecked breeds paranoia, turning allies to enemies. Absence prolonged becomes irrelevance returned too late, and the throne is claimed. Timing misjudged leads to premature strikes, exposing flanks. Perception warped turns you into a caricature, mocked behind closed doors. Machiavelli warned of fortunate whims of fate, but countered it with virtue, the cunning to bend winds to your sails. You cultivate that virtue through relentless vigilance. Study your foes as wolves, study herds, note weaknesses, patterns, the moments they falter. In relationships, deploy these weapons to forge unbreakable bonds or sever toxic ones. A partner doubts you? Use absence to rekindle desire, timed with a deceptive gesture of vulnerability that masks your strength. Feel the shift within the awakening of that ancient fire, the instinct to conquer without mercy. You're no longer the observer, you're the force that reshapes worlds. These weapons transform weakness into weapons, fear into fuel. But to ascend higher, you must integrate them into a symphony of power, where each note strikes fear into hearts. Repeat the creed. I am silence incarnate, deception's master, absence's ghost, timing's blade, perception's architect. Let it echo in your soul, drowning out the whispers of doubt. Yet true dominance demands examples from the annals of history and the grit of modern warfare. Let's dissect them, carving lessons from the bones of conquerors. Turn your gaze to the ghosts of history, where these weapons were bloodied in real conquests. Machiavelli drew from the ancients, but let's carve deeper, extracting the marrow from Caesar's campaigns. Julius Caesar, the wolf of Rome, mastered silence like a hidden dagger. In the Senate, amid plots swirling like vipers, He didn't rant against conspirators. He observed, his quietude a mask that lulled them into false security. They mistook his restraint for weakness, until the Rubicon's crossing unleashed the storm. You apply this. In your modern Colosseum's corporate dens or social pits when whispers of betrayal rise, don't counter with noise. Let silence be your sentinel, forcing them to reveal hands while yours stays concealed. Deception was Caesar's cloak. He feigned alliances with Pompey and Crassus, the triumvirate, a web of illusions binding rivals until he struck alone. Not outright lies, but maneuvers that painted him as the reluctant hero. Enemies saw unity. Reality was fracture. In your world, mirror it. Promise collaboration to a competitor, all while positioning your pieces for checkmate. Deception turns the board in your favor, making them advance into your traps. Absence amplified his legend. Banished to Gaul, Caesar didn't fade. His dispatches from afar tales of victory chaunted Rome, building absence into anticipation. When he returned, it wasn't as a man, but a myth. You wield this in negotiations, withdraw from talks at their zenith, let your void echo demands unspoken. They chase shadows, conceding ground you never fought for. Timing was his blade's edge. Caesar didn't invade Britain impulsively. He waited for Roman unrest, striking when distraction weakened home defenses. The Ides of March? His foes timed poorly, underestimating the backlash. Learn, in your battles, strike not when anger peaks, but when their vigilance wanes like after a holiday, when guards are down. Perception sealed his empire. Caesar curated his image through commentaries war diaries that glossed defeats as strategic pauses, victories as divine favor. He became the invincible, the people's champion. You craft likewise. Share selective successes on social feeds, letting perception balloon your aura. A single post of triumph, timed post-absence, reshapes how they view you not as peer, but predator. Now shift to Napoleon, the Corsican storm who embodied these weapons in revolutionary fire. Silence was his counsel's weapon. In meetings, he'd listen for hours, absorbing plots while revealing nothing. Advisors babbled, exposing flanks. His quiet judgments felled them. You in a team huddle, stay mute as ideas clash, then deliver the decisive strike, your words weighted by the weight. Deception defined his marches. Finding retreats at Austerlitz, he lured allies into overextension, then crushed them in the sun of Austerlitz. Not brute force, but illusions of vulnerability. In your career skirmishes, feign doubt in a proposal, drawing out objections, then counter with prepared dominance, turning their words against them. Absence fueled his resurrections. From Egypt's sands to Elba's rocks, his vanishings weren't defeats, they were incubations. France ached for the emperor absent, his return a tidal wave. You pull back from a project mid-success, letting others flounder in your wake. Your re-entry? A conquest, demands met without question. Timing was Napoleon's metronome. He struck Russia not in summer's ease, but waited for winter's Bitano. He miscalculated there, a lesson in reverse. But at Jena, he timed assaults to fractured Prussian lines. Vigilance. Time your absences to precede crises, returning as savior. Perception was his crown. The Code Napoleon wasn't law. It was legend, painting him as enlightened despot. Propaganda posters showed him heroic, flaws erased. You build your brand similarly. Curate testimonials. Let others sing your praises while you remain enigmatic. Perception makes you larger than life, foes hesitating before the giant they perceive. These conquerors weren't born gods. They forged themselves with these weapons, turning flesh into legend. But history's not dusty modern wolves prowl today. Think of Steve Jobs, Apple's shadow emperor. Silence in keynotes, pauses that hung like threats, building hype. Deception in product leaks controlled illusions, keeping competitors guessing. Absence during health leaves amplified his mystique. Returns like resurrections, boosting stock. Timing. Launches sync to market voids. Perception, the reality. Distortion field, bending wills to his vision. You stand in their lineage now. Dissect these examples, internalize them. In your next confrontation, channel Caesar's gaze, Napoleon's feint. Feel the primal rush, the dominance surging like blood in veins. These weapons aren't relics. They're your inheritance, sharpened for today's wars. But to claim full mastery, you must adapt them to the digital battlefield, where shadows are screens and strikes are subtle. In the digital coliseum, where empires rise and fall in pixels, these weapons evolve, becoming shadows in code, strikes in algorithms. You no longer whisper in courts, you lurk in feeds, deploying silence as the unread message that gnaws at their resolve. Think of it, an email unanswered, a text left undelivered. They spiral into assumptions, filling the void with their fears while you orchestrate from afar. Machiavelli would envy thistleants amplified by screens, turning absence into a digital haunt. Deception thrives here, a virus in the stream. Craft profiles that mislead, the LinkedIn facade of humility masking your ambitions, the tweet that feints vulnerability to draw confessions. Not blatant fakes, but curated illusions post, a setback spun as wisdom. Watch rivals lower guards, revealing strategies in comments. Wolves don't howl online. They DM in the dark, planting seeds that bloom into division. Jobs did this masterfully, leaking secrets that were decoys, keeping Apple's true strikes hidden until launch. Absence in this realm is logout as ambush. Vanish from socials at your peak influencia viral post, then radio silence. Let the algorithm push your ghost higher, followers wondering, craving your return. Timing syncs with trends. Strike during viral storms, when attention fragments, your calculated post cutting through like a blade. Napoleon would time campaigns to news cycles. You time drops to platform peaks, absence building hype like a countdown to war. Perception rules the scroll. Curate your digital aura, relentlessly filters that enhance mystery, bios that hint at power without declaration. A single story of triumph, shared sparsely, becomes legend in reposts. Make them perceive you as the untouchable, the influencer who doesn't chase likes, but commands them. Deception layers in. Retweet foes subtly, appearing allied while plotting takedowns in private groups. But wield with precision, for the digital battlefield is merciless. Over-silence brands you ghosted, irrelevant. Deceptive posts backfire in screenshots, absence forgotten in endless feeds. Time poorly, and algorithms bury you. Perception shattered by a single expose. Machiavelli adapted to Renaissance intrigue. You adapt to this, blending old cunning with new tools analytics as your spies, tracking engagement like troop movements. Practice in the trenches. Next online spat, deploy silence. Let trolls rage into the void. Deceive with a misleading thread. Absent yourself mid-debate. Time your return with a perception-shifting reveal. Feel the control surge, the way virtual worlds bend to your will, primal instincts awakened in code. These weapons aren't relics, they're your evolution, forging dominance in every arena. From boardrooms to bedrooms, silence shields, deception disarms, absence amplifies, timing strikes, perception conquers. You've awakened the wolf within the fearless hunter, controlling fates with elegant precision. Embrace this power, and remember, they don't fear your words or your presence. They fear the empire you build in their minds, unspoken and unbreakable. Power isn't taken, it's woven in the shadows you cast.